Welcome children to our civics lesson 3, what is government, video 3. Till now we have learned what is government, levels of government. We had also seen laws and government in our video 2, that how the government makes laws and how the people are punished for not following the laws, and also any actions that governments, if the people feel that they are not, that the particular law is not being followed, the people also can take actions by going to court. Today we'll see types of government. Okay, a government is what controls a state or a country, right? But how does it control a state or a country? There is no one way of doing it, and there are many different ways in which government can work. Basically, controlling a state or a country means deciding what to do. And who decides and how do they decide? Who the decision makers are and how they take decision is what they tell us what kind of government it is. Here are the types of government: monarchy, oligarchy, anarchy, democracy, and dictatorship. Monarchy means rule by one, or you can say the rule by king or queen, and they have power to make the decisions and run the government. Dictatorship is also ruled by one. Anarchy, where there is no rule, individual, there is freedom for everyone. No rule, no government, nothing. Democracy, ruled by many, and oligarchy is ruled by few. Let's see first democratic government. The government that India has is a democratic government. It means the people themselves are the rulers. How? Because as in video 1 I told you, remember your parents going to during elections going to vote? Yes, so we are the one who elect our representatives, or the leaders are chosen by the people. Choosing the leaders is done through the process of election. And yes, all the adults in the country get to choose these leaders through voting. That is one person, one vote, but the person should be above 18 years of age or should have completed his 18 years. And this is called a universal adult franchise. So in democracy, it is the people who give the government this powers, and they do this through election. And once elected, these persons form the government. And in the democracy, government has to explain its actions and defend its decisions to the people, which is not in monarchy. Monarchy, whatever the decisions are taken by the king and queen, no one has right to ask them why this decision is taken, or they do not have to explain the actions and defend the decisions. But this was not always like this, that all adults in the country get right to vote. Can you believe that there was a time when governments did not allow women and the poor to participate in elections? In their earliest forms, governments allowed only men who owned the property and were educated to vote. This meant that women, the poor, and the propertyless and uneducated were not allowed to vote. And the country was governed by the rules and regulation that these few men made, the one who were rich and educated. In India before independence, a small minority was allowed. Only a small minority was allowed to vote, and they therefore came together to determine the fate of majority. Several people, including Gandhiji, were shocked at the unfairness of this practice and demanded that all adults have right to vote. And this is what is universal adult franchises. It's not only in India before independence that only the small minority was allowed to vote, and so the many people and Gandhiji has to come together and fight and get the right. Adults have right to vote, or demanded that adults should have right to vote. It's not only India but all over Europe and USA, women and the poor have had to fight for the participation in government. Women's struggle to vote got strengthened during the First World War. You know what would happen during the First World War? The men would go on war, away fighting, and because of this, the women were called upon to do the work that was earlier considered as men's work. Then many women began organizing and managing different kinds of work. When the people saw this, they began to wonder why they had created so many unfair stereotypes about women and what they were capable of doing. So women began to be seen as being equally capable of making decisions. And during the First World War, this movement of or the struggle to vote got strengthened. Is called as women's suffrage movement, as the term suffrage usually means right to vote, or you can say fight for right. It's also called as suffrage. So the suffragettes demanded the right to vote for all women, and to get their demands heard, they chained themselves to railings in the public places, and many of them were imprisoned, went on hunger strikes, and they had to be fed by force. So at last, the USA and UK government had to, give the right to vote to these women, whereas in America, women got their right to vote in 1920, while the women in UK got to vote on the same terms as men some years later in 1928. So children, this was all about what is government. We had seen what is government, levels of government, laws of government, how the government makes laws, various types of government, democratic government, the government made by people, government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And we have also seen the suffrage movement struggle to get right to vote. I hope you all have understood this chapter. Thank you.